Let's get the fuck out of here.
Nah, he ain't done.
Before we get started today, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button with the ferocity that Drew hit Guap's face in this episode. And please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content just like this. So I'm glad that people are finally catching on that basically what the showrunners are trying to do is recreate the original Power cast with the Power Book 2 cast. Tariq is supposed to be the new Ghost, Diana is supposed to be the new Tasha, Kane is supposed to be the new Kanan, Lauren is supposed to be the new Angela, and Brayden is supposed to be the new Tommy. But the reality of the situation is that those original Power characters are iconic for very specific reasons, and as much as they try to draw parallels between the two, all it really does is show that the Power Book 2 characters are nothing more than cheap imitations. They're basically replacement players coming in off the bench after the first string gets hurt. Sure, you might score some points with that team, but you're not going to win the championship. Unless you have superb coaching, and in that case, I guess that would be the showrunners, which they've established by creating these characters that they are pretty incompetent in their own right. I may have taken that metaphor a little bit too far, but you get where I'm going with it. Anyway, at the start of this episode, it's homecoming week at Stansfield. So the parents of all the students are roaming the campus, and you would think that would make it a lot harder for anyone to be able to sell drugs. But more on that in a minute. We're treated to yet another cringeworthy class discussion where Power tries to be more intelligent than it actually is, and we get more commentary from the ratchet girl, and this time her ratchet mother. I did find one part of the conversation actually partially interesting. The class is basically presented with the idea that you're never more hated than when you try to tell the truth. Tariq, of course, gives his own expert opinion on this and says that people only hear what they want to hear, that the truth is sometimes ugly to them, and they only want to hear their own version of it retorted back to them. This honestly sounds a lot like having a channel on YouTube, because God forbid you tell your truth and somebody doesn't agree with it.
Move this man!
The better part of the convo was Lauren's response to Tariq. She basically tells him that a mature person will be honest no matter what those people think about it. That is simultaneously my philosophy on this channel and a really nice burn towards Tariq. And I'm here for all of that, so big shout out to Lauren this week. We don't get much in the way of Tasha's trial stuff in this episode, which is kind of a breath of fresh air because that's getting a bit old, and I honestly think that they're dragging it on a little bit too long. But we do get a little bit more about Jabrari, the worst professor in history, and he's officially attempting to sell his book idea that is based on Tariq's life. And he's getting all caught up in it, and he goes a little bit too far and actually decides to follow Tariq, and he actually learns about Tariq's operation with the Course Correct app. So we'll see what he does with that information. I don't think he's going to rat on Tariq because he wants this to continue, because it's going to make for more interesting information for his book. 2-Bits is back this week, and he's in full effect and easily the best thing about this show. Funny how it takes a returning character from the original Power to make me at least somewhat interested. But he comes out and threatens Tariq, basically saying that Ghost owed him money, so now Tariq owes him money, and he wants $24K by the next day or he's going to kill him. Tariq again is in a tough spot, but we know he's Superman and he can pretty much handle any situation. So he turns again to Effie. And I had to be honest, I had to look up this girl's name and what she actually was because I forgot all about her. Anyway, Tariq and Effie form a partnership and they decide to sell coke on campus during homecoming while all the parents are there. Tariq is apparently also an expert on parent and children relations now, and he gives Effie a lesson on who she should be targeting and selling to. Where he gained this knowledge about profiling people who are looking for drugs, I have no idea, but she buys into this plan because Tariq is manipulating her with his dick. And of course the plan works. They make all the money they need to pay 2-Bits in just 24 hours. I'm no drug dealer, but that seems like an awful lot of depressed students who hate their parents that are attending Stansfield. Of course, once he has the money, he pretty much blows Effie off, and it pisses her off. This leads to her telling Brayden that she and Tariq had something going on the side, and this of course pisses Brayden off because Tariq has once again lied to him, and Brayden essentially quits the business. I'm going to be honest, I don't think Super Tariq really needs Brayden, so I'm not sure that it matters, but it did happen.
Don't be hating!
Meanwhile, Kane is formulating a plan to kill Tariq because he's moved in on his family operation. He turns to Guap for help in killing Tariq. This is a little bit of a questionable decision considering the checkered past that Guap has with the Tejada family. But Guap sends one of his soldiers to Tariq's school during one of Zeke's basketball games in an attempt to kill him. It doesn't really work out and they actually end up fighting each other. And 2-Bit arrives, who is basically showing up just to collect his money, but he actually saves Tariq's life and kills the dude that was attempting to kill Tariq. And for this, 2-Bit requests a larger sum of money be delivered to him. So 2-Bit has the phone that the guy he just killed was carrying. The phone receives a text message asking if the job is done, referring to Tariq, of course. 2-Bit takes a picture of the guy in the pool and sends it back saying it's done. This causes Kane to think that Tariq is dead, so he feels a bit of relief as he sits in the stands and watches Zeke's game. However, once Tariq shows up again in the stands, now Kane is confused and he's wondering what exactly happened. Guap has come to the realization that his guy has been killed, and he thinks that Kane set him up, so now Guap wants Kane killed. And Kane calls the phone that Tariq is now carrying and saying, "I don't know who this is, but I'm going to kill you." So this informs Tariq that Kane was the one behind it.
That makes sense.
That's a little bit convoluted, but that's pretty much what happened. So now that Tariq knows, eventually Monet finds out as well, and this causes a further rift between her and Kane. Later, Guap confronts Zeke and some of his fellow basketball players outside of a club, and basically he puts a gun to Zeke's knee, threatens his career, and says this is retaliation for his man getting killed and Kane setting him up. But then Drew shows up and he basically offers himself over and says take me instead and leave Zeke out of this, but Guap says that killing Zeke's career would hurt Monet much more than that. Which is probably true because she's an absolute bitch and really doesn't do anything good for her kids, so. Drew lunges at Guap and saves the day, but he doesn't kill him, he pretty much just beats the shit out of him. Monet is of course now pissed at Drew because he was even at the club and that's bringing unnecessary attention to Zeke. But what I don't understand is that if he wasn't there, Zeke's career would have been over. Again, this is just Monet not really thinking about things and reacting. And again, she just comes off as one of those people that just think they're winning an argument by talking louder. I mean, that's the impression I get from her, and that's why I can't stand this character at all. Monet eventually figures out that Kane was the cause of all of this and essentially kicks him out of the family business. During this time, this is when Kane goes for retaliation on Guap and goes to kill him, but he doesn't actually kill him. He basically threatens him and says, "You're going to give me half of everything you earn, otherwise I will come back and kill you." Guap obviously agrees to get out of this situation, but what exactly is stopping him from going back on this agreement and killing Kane once he doesn't have a gun in his face? Like most of this show, this didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And that was pretty much it for this episode. It's kind of ironic how it was heavy into the drug game in this episode. After I just said it feels like that has no place in this show and it's more of like a teen drama. I suppose this was a much more eventful episode than we've gotten previous weeks, but the quality control problems are still there. Tariq is still unbelievable in this role, and they really need to stop acting like he is an extension of Ghost or is Ghost. Like, at what point did he go from being a rich kid who grew up in a penthouse to being streetwise? His character arc, to me, if you want to call it that, just makes no sense. But this is Power Book 2, and let's be honest, not a whole lot does make sense. So did you see Power Book 2 Episode 8? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Right on.